How does an operating system boot from power button to desktop? Have you ever wondered what happens when you press the power button on your computer? The journey from that simple action to seeing your desktop is quite fascinating. Let's break it down step by step. When you press the power button, the first thing that happens is the activation of the power supply. This sends electricity to essential hardware components like the motherboard, processor, memory, and storage devices. Without this initial step, nothing else can happen. Next, the firmware kicks in. This is either the basic input-output system or the unified extensible firmware interface. The firmware initializes the hardware and runs a power-on self-test. This test checks if critical components like memory and disk drives are functioning properly. If there are any issues, you might hear error codes or beeping sounds to alert you. After the power-on self-test is complete, the firmware determines which device to load the operating system from. This is known as boot device selection. It looks at its configuration, often stored in complementary metal oxide semiconductor memory, to decide whether to boot from a hard drive, solid-state drive, USB drive, or optical disk. Once the boot device is chosen, the firmware locates and loads the bootloader from that device. The bootloader is a small program that is essential for loading the operating system into memory. For example, Linux systems often use the Grand Unified Bootloader, while Windows uses the Windows Boot Manager. Now, the bootloader does its job by loading the operating system kernel into the computer's random access memory. The kernel is the core part of the operating system that manages hardware resources and provides necessary services to other software. After loading the kernel, it initializes system components and loads device drivers. These drivers are crucial as they allow the operating system to communicate with hardware devices like keyboards, mice, and graphics cards. With the drivers loaded, the operating system starts system services and background processes that are essential for smooth operation. Finally, it launches the graphical user interface or desktop environment, presenting the login screen or desktop to you. Different operating systems have their unique boot processes. For instance, Windows typically boots from NTFS-formatted drives and emphasizes a graphical start hub. Linux systems, on the other hand, can offer menus to select between multiple operating systems or kernels. macOS uses a variant of UEFI with a bootloader that is optimized for Apple hardware, focusing on security features. Understanding this entire boot process can help you troubleshoot startup issues and customize boot options. It also gives you a better appreciation of how operating systems manage hardware initialization and user interaction right from the moment you press that power button.